Why is our conversations with clients as business coaches, why are those conversations sometimes difficult to hold the client accountable? That's what I'm going to go over in this short training because it matters. Without accountability, um, you can't see success, you can't see results. And part of our role and part of our goal as strategists, as coaches, as a guide is we have to make sure that the client is implementing. And I'm going to speak today from a perspective of as a faith person of faith, a faith-driven business coach. You're a Christian professional. If you're on our coaching team, or if you're thinking about becoming on our team, or whatever, this conversation is. It's like you spend all this time building a relationship. You went through the phase of a couple of lunches and some get-togethers. You may have known them through a friend. You finally sit down and show them how you can help them. They eventually say yes. You get to this point, but if they don't follow through, and more importantly, if you don't help them and guide them specifically in a step-by-step manner with clarity, and then hold them accountable to actually do it, the work really isn't done, and it's not going to be done. But when we take a peek at it from a perspective of faith, that we move away from just, hey, I've got to make sure that I hold the hand of the client and they follow through and they actually do it. There's reasoning and there's purpose, okay? Because without purpose, everything falls flat. So that again, without purpose, everything falls flat. So I'm just going to this is as much about a couple of things for you. Is if you have clients right now, and perhaps if you do, you've experienced the challenges of, you go from session to session and they're just not either following through, or worse, if you don't lay out a specific coaching plan, which we have that in our done for you system. We have the entire plans built, and where you go through them strategically, every strategy, and then you go step by step. Even with that, they have to do the work. Someone has to do the work. So if you don't have any type of process, what ends up happening is you can go session to session, where session number one is, they've started bringing up an employee issue. The next time it's about cash flow. The next time it's just their frustration with the vendor or whatever. And you end up just being a sounding board. Now, there's nothing wrong in premise with listening, and that's empathy is a huge part of coaching, but there's also a balance to where you've got to go get the work done. And so when we take a peek at this as a faith-driven business coach, the why that we do it changes dramatically. It moves away from just doing it because, it's doing it because there's purpose. The first, when we look at Proverbs 29:18, you're probably likely familiar. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Vision is a biblical mandate. And so when we don't help them to get clear on how to grow the business, the function, the functionality, and the tasks, if there's no clarity there, what's happening is things will begin to erode slowly. Like, essentially, perishing is happening pretty quick. But it doesn't happen just like from one session to the next. Frustration, overwhelm, and it just comes in little bitty, pieces over time. And if we sit there and just watch it happen, now from a place of purpose, it shifts, because we understand that if they don't get it done, they could risk getting in some trouble with the business, meaning losing money, depending on where they are, going backwards, allowing an employee that's just isn't following along, or worse, is cancer to the team, kind of thing. We've got to give them vision. The next thing is Proverbs 27:17. I have my notes here. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Accountability is an act of love. Now, this is where if you're timid at all about, hey, let's make sure we get that done. Hey, next session, let's make sure we get this complete. Next session comes around, we're like, hey, so how'd things go? Whatever. I got busy. Okay, yeah, no big deal. No, we don't want to have that perspective. Holding someone accountable is not about just being demanding, and it's not about being rigid. It's about caring enough to not let them settle. It's about caring enough to not let them settle. What this means, connect this back to vision. If we're going session to session, they're not accomplishing the things that need to be accomplished, and we're not pushing back, what we're doing is that we now knowingly are allowing them to perish. In other words, we're not actually utilizing, from a place of faith, we're not utilizing our purpose to help them to achieve what it is that they actually want to achieve. Okay. Now, little I don't want to say tip per se, but it kind of is. Every coaching relationship needs to have with the client, we need to have as the coach, and this is usually done in the beginning, but oftentimes we have to reset it throughout our sessions. And that is, we need to help them have clear understanding of why the business exists, what's it for, and if they were to grow the business, let's just say for conversation's sake, they their net at the end of the year, they keep $200,000. All right, that's the number. Well, if you were able to help them grow the business and they want to grow it, and let's say that we're able to help them double it and they go from 200 grand to 400 grand. What will they do with the improved provision? In other words, $200,000 is extra. What are they going to do? Well, when they understand, and of course, when we understand it too, their legit, true purpose. Like, just making it up. We talked about this in our training this week with our on our Christian professionals growth call. Is that let's say they the goal is beach house, retire at 67, and they don't want to sell the business. They do want to bring in an owner operator, and in that retirement, they're just getting dividends. But in the current scenario of what they're making, that's not possible. There's not enough meat on the bone to do any kind of profit sharing apparatus at all. But if we get to 400 grand, we're moving in that direction. So if the beach house and the retiring at 67 and the owner operator style with dividends, if that's the goal, we have to connect activity and strategy back to the real purpose. That's the point. If we just stick to numbers, now we're overly analytical. Now we're going to have to be analytical at times, but we're overly analytical, and we're not really helping them to harness the vision for them to fulfill ultimately what it is that they want to feel, legacy, whatever the case may be. Luke 14:28 says, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Stewardship requires intentionality. That's Jesus himself, essentially, showing us as a model that intentional planning is wise, right? In the statement of, won't you first sit down and estimate, like, again, from a place of, marketplace ministry, from a faith perspective, even when we're dealing with the business strategies on how to grow the financials, the revenues and the profits of the business, whether it's their helping them with their offer, helping them to be more competitive, working with them on reducing their costs and whatnot. There is a biblical foundation and a model, and this is important because we need to connect. This is the move. You connect the profitability to purpose. And when you become, now, and this is not going to happen in one session or two, you have to ad nauseum, consistently pare it back. We're doing this because it's important for you, for a legacy perspective, to have this as a part of your retirement, to bring in an owner operator. That's why we're doing this strategy, right? And so we want to make sure that we're not just setting up strategic plans, that we're following a biblical model by helping them to understand the significance of the purpose. That's why we have to work hard at profitability. And look, where there is no margin, there is no mission. So the business has to make money. They gotta. I mean, they are a contributor to society, which is that's one of the things that I love so much about business ownership. They employ people. Those people feed their families. They buy things, right? They pay taxes. That gives us roads. That it's a significant communal investment owning a business. But they have to be profitable, not just for their own purpose, but for purpose as a whole. And then the last thing, let's see, 3 John 1 and 2, chapter 1, verse 2. Beloved, I pray that you may prosper in all things and be in health just as your soul prospers. When we're helping them to understand, when we're connecting profitability, we're connecting purpose, and we're helping them to walk through that, even if you're coaching someone who's not of faith, we understand that we're coaching the whole person. Why? Well, I pray that you may prosper in all things. God cares about the whole person, their family, their health, their soul, their business. He cares. And so when we understand that we're helping them strategically to improve the business, we're actually helping them holistically. Think about it. It is absolutely beyond normal for the average business owner, not even average, the majority. They laid their head on the pillow at night with some type of stress, anxiety, and angst. Why? Business ownership's not simple at all. And it's a myriad of different stressors. There's not enough money to make payroll. And the other extreme is things are going well, but they could be people heavy. There could be some employee issues. There's just a number of things that there's always stressors. But when you're helping them with clarity, when you're helping to see their significance, again, even if they're not of faith, when you're helping them to see that there's significance of the purpose of why they do what they do and its contribution to not only their family and their legacy and lineage, potentially, if that's what they want to do, lots of family-owned businesses that are generational. We hear that a lot, that one of their goals is to, pass the business down. This is a very, very normal scenario. And so when you see that, though, you're helping them to be able to understand the significance that they play. We're not just talking about helping them to improve profitability alone and going from an 8% net profit to 15, 18, 20% net profit. We're helping them holistically because we understand that the work that we do and helping them through growth, through clarity, through purpose is actually coaching the whole person. It's not called life coaching because we start about the business. But when you're helping them with that growth, you're helping them to reduce anxiety. You're helping them to reduce stress. You're helping them to reduce all of the things. It doesn't mean it goes away. Key word there that I said was reduce. So there's, prayerfully, again, if you are in the coaching game and you are working with business owners, accountability is critical. You must have a system, a process. If you're thinking about business coaching as either a career shift, you've seen a little bit about what we do, you can go to businesscoachmastery.com. You can get some information, book explore the systems chat. If you're on our coaching team, I cannot stress enough the importance, especially as you bring on new clients, the importance of setting the tone early about your role as their accountability partner. And by the way, most of them want that. They may not say it in those words, but it's no different than the difference when you go try to lose 30 pounds and you go to the gym or whatever, and you're doing it solo versus when you're doing it with another person. Everything in you changes because you know that you're going to get asked questions. There's a measuring stick, right? And so this is no different at the end of the day. God can use you in amazing ways, even as you're counting the beans, if you will. You're helping them with improved revenue, profitability, and so on. All right. I hope that has added value to you today. Take care.